You know, it's funny, I saw someone just randomly post the quote this morning, where there's tears, there's hope. And I just thought, that's a nice sentiment. Then I watched this episode, and I like it even more. The Doctor falls. So, I'm gonna get the two major bullet points out of the way. Is this as good an episode as the previous one, World Enough in Time? No. Is it the kind of drop-off from penultimate episode to final episode of the series that Heaven Sent to Hell Bent was? No. So while it was not able to maintain the high of the previous episode, it didn't nosedive into what the heck was that. And I'm not gonna rehash my stuff on Hellbent. I know there are some people who really like that finale. I've talked about it in more than one video before. It just didn't work for me. It was weird to me. This I got immediately. I knew what it was going for, and I understand why it was presented the way it was. Coming off of the previous episode, I ended up feeling very of two minds in regards to sort of the pacing of it. Oh, yeah, reminder, spoilers, there will be. So the whole pace of the thing, it was pretty slow. It was pretty quiet for most of it. There were a lot of quiet moments. And there was part of me that had kind of wanted a more rip-roaring episode, you know, coming off of the high that was the end of the previous episode. And I still kind of wish we got that, but at the same time, most of my favorite moments from the episode were the quiet moments. They were Missy and the Master together. They were the Doctor and Bill in the barn. They were the goodbye with Nardole. They were the Doctor and Bill in that field when she says, "You said you could fix me. Were you lying? No. Were you right? No." I love that because, you know, he was absolutely sincere when he said he could fix her. He was just wrong. That's heartbreaking in the best way. And there were lots of little moments. It's funny, much like the overall pace and feel of the thing, there were lots of little moments as it went on. I was like, oh, I don't like that they did that. But then something would happen and go, oh, okay, well now it's working. Like when they jumped ahead 2 weeks and I just see Bill in the barn, I'm like, oh, so he just fixed her. Great. Then she got the mirror. I'm like, oh, okay, we just want to be sure that Pearl Mackie gets to actually appear in the last episode, even though she wasn't fixed. In terms of her resolution, I liked it. I thought it was sweet. I want to go back and rewatch the pilot now again, but I kind of like how that came full circle. This is a version of the companion getting to go out and experience the universe without the Doctor that I like much more than what happened with Clara at the end of Hellbent. I promise I'll stop bringing that episode up. But it worked for me. It was nice. It was sweet. It felt like a earned callback, especially with the reference to tears, which we've been getting references to across this episode already. So it felt like it was properly planted. They did the callback correctly. And yeah, it worked for me. Was it a little cheesy? Maybe, but it didn't, not to a degree that it felt like a cop-out. Like if the Doctor had fixed her, that would have been cheesy in an unearned fashion. This didn't quite read like that for me, so that worked for me. Capaldi was great. I mean, he just was, and I love his determination, and it looks like we're going to be going into the Christmas special doing something that I had kind of secretly hoped would be the case, which is we're basically going to get a whole story of him fighting back the regeneration the entire time. And there's, of course, the other thing about the very end of this episode. I will come back to that. I'm kind of two minds on the inclusion of John Sims' Master, because I don't know how much he added. Now, I will, again, say his reveal in the previous episode, and especially his work as Mr. Razor, was awesome. Loved it. But his actual use in this episode, I don't think he needed to be there. He didn't drag it down. He wasn't bad. He wasn't a bad element. I feel like his inclusion wasn't necessary. It felt like a gimmick. And I get ultimately it was, how do we kill Missy in a way that prevents her from taking up taking up a stand alongside the Doctor and feels like the right way to do it. And the idea of the Master killing himself because he doesn't like what he becomes later, it kind of works, it kind of fits, but I felt like really up until the two of them in front of the lift, up until that moment, I didn't feel like it needed to be him. Like they could have found another way to kill Missy and disable regeneration or whatever. The Master's still coming back. It may not be Missy specifically. They will still find a way to bring the Master back. They may or may not explain it. They've killed him without having regeneration kick in before, and they brought him back. They brought back Davros, you know, without explaining how that happened. The Master's coming back. But Michelle Gomez as Missy was so good. She is so good in this part, and I'm gonna miss her terribly. But at the same time, I do realize that a big part of what I really liked about her was her chemistry with Capaldi, and she may not have been able to retain that with whoever the new Doctor ends up being. So I'm okay because Capaldi is leaving with Missy, her tenure as Missy ending as well. And it is possible she might come back, but official word is she's done with the role, so that's my expectation. I'm gonna miss her though. She was really good. And again, the whole, like, the notion and the way she was closed out, especially that she dies laughing going, oh, of course I shot myself in the back, and she just laughs at it. That was good and it felt right, but I don't know, man. John Sims Master, he was just kind of there. He was kind of just spinning his wheels up until he did that. So, again, didn't drag the episode down. I almost kind of feel like if you weren't going to do more with him, that it wasn't worth the inclusion, because the idea of having him and having two Masters in a story feels like this should be a major deal, except for his part in the story, it kind of isn't. So it's... I don't know. It's something that I hesitate to, again, to call it a negative, but it's like you didn't really need that. I like that there was basically one line that explains away every and all continuity issue with Cybermen in terms of their appearance across the series, how they look different, how did they get here, weren't they all destroyed, and the Doctor just saying, we've got parallel evolutions. This is what humanity tends to do when it's got the proper level of technology and the right circumstances happen. This keeps happening, and I kind of like that as an idea. I mean, if you want to be doom and gloom about it, you could read it as humanity will always become Cybermen. I choose not to read it as that. I see it a bit more like this is one of the you know, likely paths that humans tend to take. Not always, but it can happen with the right technology level and the right circumstances. And I kind of like that. I kind of dig it. And it in one line, it basically explains away every continuity error where every fan has ever gone, but wait, these Cybermen look like the parallel universe Cybermen, but they don't have the C. Where are they from? Who cares? They came from a parallel evolution, or they were from Mondus, or from Telos. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We've had a nice one-line explanation where we can stop worrying about it. Nardole had a lot of good moments. Matt Lucas, he's another one I'm gonna miss. And again, but at this point, there's a part of me that was resistant to the idea of Moffat leaving, Capaldi leaving, Bill leaving, Nardole leaving, Missy leaving all at once. There's a part of me that was really hoping for some strand of continuity between regenerations, but at this point, I do have to accept that a huge part of what I liked about pretty much all these elements that I just named was how they interacted with Capaldi specifically. And you know what? They may not have that same chemistry with a new Doctor. So I've kind of come to terms with that. Again, though, I am going to miss Nardole. I'm going to miss Bill. I'm going to miss Missy. I'm really going to miss Capaldi. But we got at least one more with him, with David Bradley returning to the role of the first Doctor, having already played William Hartnell in the BBC special Story of Time and Space. I can't remember now. It was really good though, and he was really good playing William Hartnell, and by extension playing the William Hartnell version of the Doctor. I think I had heard at one point, I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was confirmed when I heard, I think I had heard that he might be appearing, so while I hadn't been expecting it, I wasn't counting down to it or anything. Once, you know, he was there and I heard somebody moving in the snow, I'm like, it's gonna be him. And it was, and I like that. I like that a lot. It's the kind of thing that I really like in this case, but I'm a little nervous about the precedent it sets. I say precedent. It's not the first time that a different actor will be playing a specific incarnation of the Doctor. They had a different actor play the first Doctor in The Five Doctors. I can't remember that actor's name, unfortunately. I'll put it down there. But it has been done before. But it hasn't been done in the modern era. So in a lot of ways, I don't assume that the precedents set in the classic era are going to be upheld in the modern era. I kind of take the modern era a little bit separately. So having that get established makes me nervous about possible future showrunners who just start, casting new actors as the older versions of the Doctor. And I'm not a big fan of that idea, as something that happens regularly. I'm looking forward to this one because, again, I've seen David Bradley in this role, and I know he can do it, and I know he can do it well. But it's the sort of thing that I think could get gimmicky and runs the risk of basically devaluing the original portrayal. Because, it's saying, oh, well, that actor did it, but here's another one who does it just as well. And, that's... It's not inherently disrespectful, because again, if you do it properly, it can work, but it's the sort of thing that could very easily become disrespectful if you either get an actor who doesn't properly honor the part, or it just feels like creatively you're just doing it for no particular reason and you're just doing it because you can. So who cares that, we had an older actor and they're dead? Just get somebody new. And again, not getting that vibe off of David Bradley in this. It feels right. It's going to be a regeneration story. It's going to be a Christmas special. He's coming off of fighting Monda Cyberman. Monda Cyberman will cause the first Doctor to regenerate into the second. So in this specific case, I am digging it. I just hope that future showrunners don't sort of take it as basically a green light to do that whenever they feel like it, because I don't want that. I think the other reason I don't want it to become a regular thing is that feels like the first step towards, every now and then on Doctor Who boards or fan sites or whatever, I see somebody be like, oh, can he regenerate into Matt Smith again or into David Tennant again? I'm like, no, let's not. What I love David Tennant, I love Matt Smith in the part, but I want the Doctor to always be an evolution forward. The Doctor as a character specifically. I mean, the show can look back, call back, bring back companions, bring back, villains and aliens and all that, and that's great. Love it. But I feel like the Doctor needs to continue to evolve, and any new actor can certainly take their cues from whatever previous incarnation they like, but I don't like the idea of just sort of regressing back of, oh, let's just bring back the old guy that everybody liked. And yeah, I don't ever want that to happen. I guess I'm nervous that this casting of a newer actor in an older version of the Doctor feels like a half step towards that. But now that I say that out loud, I think I'm just being paranoid because, again, it's something that I don't want to happen. I guess I'm just overly wary of anything that could feasibly lead to that down the line. So I think I'm maybe taking a step too far for that. So forget that. But yeah, it was good. I feel like I need to watch it again to make the call on whether or not I want to call it great. It was interesting because the whole episode had the vibe of a regeneration episode, even though he didn't regenerate in this episode. And under other circumstances, I might have gone, that's really annoying. But in this case, it still worked for me because it was still a farewell episode for so many other characters. So I was okay that it had that feeling of regeneration, that feeling of finality, that feeling of saying farewell, even though the Doctor was not the one saying farewell, because we still had to say farewell to Missy, to the John Sim Master, to Nardole, to Bill. So there was a lot that it felt right, that the atmosphere felt like a goodbye, even though the Doctor himself gets one more adventure. I'm just hoping that the Christmas special is going to be more of a rip-roaring adventure and less of a melancholy, because I feel like we've had the melancholy, the Doctor's death is inevitable episode here. So I'm hoping they don't revisit that vibe in the next one. It was part of why I don't really like the time of the Doctor, is I don't like that vibe for regeneration stories. Especially I like something more, balls to the wall, more just let's go nuts, let's have a nice final roller coaster. And so I'm hoping that with sort of the farewell feeling out of the way, we will get that with the Christmas special. We'll find out when we get there. Now we've got, what, 5 months? BBC, could you surprise me and not announce who the next Doctor is between now and then and have it be a shock when it shows up? I know that won't happen, but I can dream. And you know what? Props to them for keeping a lid on it at this point, because last I had heard, it is being said that the next Doctor has been cast, but they haven't said who it is. So the longer you want to wait on that, I'm totally okay with it. So I think that wraps up my thoughts on this particular episode. That's it for Series 10. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Capaldi's best series. I think each series he was in got better. And yeah, this was really good. So The Doctor Falls, what were your thoughts on it? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast. I am also one half of the Punch Like a Girl podcast, both available on iTunes and Stitcher. And until next time, this council is adjourned.